Hello and welcome back to Angular 2 Masterclass with Alejandro Rangel. In this section, we will talk about ECMAScript 6. But first, let's talk a little bit about the evolution of JavaScript and why we are talking right now about ECMAScript 6. So, JavaScript was developed by Brendan Eich in 1995 and it was available in the Netscape Navigator 2.0. Then it was submitted to the ECMA International, this is an organization, in 1996, and since then many languages have derived from the ECMAScript. This is the case for ActionScript or EScript. So how do we get to ES6 or JavaScript version 6? So since 1996, JavaScript has been evolved, so ECMAScript 1, ECMAScript 2, and so on. And today, most browsers support ES5. So this is a version that we have been working with JavaScript for many years. And it has been a long road for ES5 because even today, it's not fully consistent, the implementation of JavaScript between all browsers. So why do we want ES6? Well, last years we have seen how the web has been evolving, and now the front-end side, what the users see, involve more interaction, animations, so we need much more code in the front-end than before. This means also the use of patterns from architectural, from software development that they were not available in the past for the front-end developers. So today we need new tools for the front-end because the applications are getting more and more complex. Browsers like Chrome and Firefox are doing an incredible job for bringing new features to developers, so we can have a lot of interactions, and they are pushing toward the standards of new versions of JavaScript. So what's the goal of ES6? As I mentioned before, now we want to deal with complex applications. So this means our JavaScript code has to be more efficient. We have to write less code and do more with them. Also, in ES6, another goal is that we want to write libraries. So we are using today with ES5, Require.js, AMD to bundle and to create libraries. But the goal of ES6 is that we don't have to use these libraries anymore for creating libraries. So we can use the language itself to pack our code, and this way we can have it reusable. Then we want also code generators. We will see this later on. And there are many features that will make our life easy. And also, in ES6, they are bringing many concepts from other high-level language like Java and C#. So JavaScript developers want these features too. So something so simple as JavaScript doesn't have constants in the version 5. This seems to be silly, but it's a very important feature that a language like Java or C# is pretty obvious that you can define a constant and this value can be changed along the time of the application. So this is what we are moving towards. We want this kind of features in JavaScript. So right now, some browsers are implementing already some features from ES6, other browsers not, so it's kind of a mess, right? So I will suggest that once you start working with JavaScript ES6, you start checking whenever you need, okay, I want to use the constant from the language, that you check in the website, can I use, and you can check how supported is this feature right now in the browsers. So let's take a look. Okay, we go here, and this is a web that I was saying, caniuse.com. Yeah, and for example, a feature that should be available in ES6 is the possibility to define constants, right? So let's search for it. Okay, so let's see. Here is const. This is the one that we were looking. So this is a feature from ES6 that allow us to define a constant in the language. Okay, so as you can see, Internet Explorer 8, 9, and 10 don't support constants, but the version 11, they say that is supported, right? Edge, yeah, it's fully supported. Then we have Firefox, this in green, yeah, partially supported, and so on. So you can check any browser that you want. Let's try again with something else. So another important feature from ES6 is the fat arrow. So let's see, fat arrow. Well, they call it arrow functions. So it's the usage of this. This is a fat arrow, and then the this is already bind for you. So as you can see, Internet Explorer doesn't support this at all, period. But Edge, Firefox, Chrome, Opera support it. So depending on what is your application doing, maybe your project is only for Chrome, so you could go for it. Yeah, but if you have to support, for example, iOS Safari, then yeah, you cannot use the arrow function right now. Obviously, there is a workaround with this, that is TypeScript. We will have an entire section for talking about this. But so far, if we want just to talk about ES6, yeah, you should check here if the features that you want to use are already available in the browser or not. Let's try one more time. So in this case, we want to talk about the let. Yeah. So this is a let will allow us to define variables inside a scope. So now it's like that, like they say, block level scope. Outside this scope, this variable is undefined. Yeah, this solves a lot of issues with global variables in JavaScript. So as you can see, Internet Explorer supported, Edge, Firefox, Chrome partially supported, but then we go to Safari, it's not supported, and so on. So I really recommend you to take a look always in Caniuse, because sometimes you think, oh, yeah, this is ES6, so probably it's not supported, and it can be that is a surprise for you. For example, it's not ES6, but something that Flexbox, yeah. So this seems to be, wow, this is a cool feature, but probably my browser doesn't support it. But yes, it's a surprise, but most modern browsers support Flexbox, and this is not related with Angular or anything like this, but I really recommend that you take a look on Flexbox. It's a really nice CSS property, okay? So let's come back to the slides. And here we are. Yes, so this is a compatibility. And finally, okay, if you want to test this, yeah, all these features, and yeah, I would like to start experimenting, one option is that you can download Google Chrome Canary. This is a different version than the Google Chrome that everybody has installed in their computers. This is an experimental Chrome version for them to put new features. So if Chrome is going to implement another ES6 feature or ES7 that is coming soon also, definitely they will put these features in Google Chrome Canary first. So this is a good way to start. So you can download the Google Chrome Canary and start trying. Yep. Another option for testing all these features will be to use Babel. Okay, this is a little bit different because this is a transpiler. Yeah, So what is a transpiler? A transpiler basically will take our code that we write, for example, in ES6, and then Babel will transform this in valid ES5. So this is a way to experiment with ES6, writing constant, for example, and they will generate the final JavaScript ES5, the supported right now for most browsers. And we can experiment so for example, talking about the constants, we can do like const, yeah, test, and we do a value here, test constant. Yep. So this is a way that we will write code in ES6, and they generate a ES5 version of it. You can see here that is var test and the variable, and this is valid. But what happened if we try to change this constant? Yeah, 1, 2, 3. See, test is a read only. So in the future, when the browser support the const feature, we can expect an error like this directly from Chrome. But the nice way to start trying all these features is just using Babel. Again, this is a transpiler, this is the generated JavaScript, the real value JavaScript of today. Or we can use TypeScript. This is the other option for trying. It's exactly the same example. So we have a constant, we define this, then we try to override the constant, and it's in red and it's saying you cannot change the value of a constant. And this is the generated JavaScript. But we will talk about TypeScript later on. Okay, so finally, to finish with this video, this introduction to ES6, what are the features that are in ES6, by the way? Well, there are many. The specification is super big, okay, but I try to resume the most important for you to learn these days, and if you are trying to learn Angular 2, they will be useful for you. So some of these features are block scoping with LED. We talk a little bit about this, but we will get into detail. Constants, define classes in JavaScript. This is awesome because so far we can create classes with what? With prototype, right? And if you have worked with prototype, you know that this is not an elegant or high-level fashion way of writing classes. Yeah, you get used to, but it's not nice. Then we can have default function parameters. So if you don't pass a parameter, we can define a value that will be passed as default, as fallback. Then we have nice features for working with collections like map, dictionary, and this, that nowadays we are doing it with what? With JSON objects, but it will be nice to have something like map, right? Okay, so we will have it. That's super nice from ES6. Then we have some fashion stuff like the structuring, the spread operator. We have several iterators that most of these we do it with underscores, underscore.js nowadays. Then we have arrays, features, and finally the modules. This is super interesting because then we can write modular code and export or import JavaScript classes. This is high-level fashion, and it's available in other modern language. So it should be in JavaScript, and it will be. See you in the next video.